Welcome back to episode 24 of the Briefcase in the Barn.
Or 25.
24. Happy New
For
Year.
sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Happy New Year. Thank you guys for watching. Happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Hope you had a good Christmas. I had a good Christmas.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was so good about your Christmas?
I was with my family,
Okay.
my boys, Nicole. Didn't take my, wore sweatpants all day for the first time in my life I've ever done that.
Okay. My wife has a no sweatpants rule.
So I grew up where my dad always wore a suit every single day of his life.
Never black sweatpants?
Never black sweatpants.
Okay.
Always a suit and shoes and polished them. And he was always ready to go. And so that's just worn off on me where doesn't matter usually what day of the week it is, I'm always ready to go. And
Whatever that means. I mean, if that's ready to go, then
yeah, just in my good
Yeah.
clothes. But so wearing sweatpants all day was something I would never
Okay.
have done in the past. But yeah, just hung out, didn't leave the house, gave the kids gifts, had an awesome meal, had a friend over.
nice.
Yeah, it was.
Any
it was
extended
awesome.
family functions or
No.
just your immediate family?
Just immediate family.
Okay. Okay. Marie hosted back-to-back dinners, like Christmas Eve with my family. There's 22 of us. It was really nice. Roast beef dinner. And then the next morning we had brunch with my in-laws and the extended,
All at your house?
yeah, both at our house. Yeah. It was
And
good.
the horsepower on Marie must just be incredible.
Unbelievable. Well, most of her life she's dragging me around, right? So I mean, she's always kind of
Yeah.
going pretty hard.
Do
But
you feel like exhausted after those, or you feel?
no, I love it, right?
Okay, but she feels exhausted. Probably.
She is fried.
Okay.
People fried because she's an introvert.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not an introvert.
Okay, 2025. Never thought I'd get here.
I never thought I'd live past 30. So
I remember you saying that. Anything you want to say about 2025? Any hopes and wishes? I got a rant, but I'll wait till the end.
yeah, go ahead. No,
I'm gonna
just
wait
do
till
it.
the end.
You want to wait till the very end?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a few things to talk about today. We'll start with lust. Why not start with the good stuff?
Get all the
So-
people that hate the book report off the podcast. Really.
Yeah. If you want to forward through, then you probably shouldn't. And if you don't want to forward through and love this stuff, there's something wrong with
Great chapter.
it. Yes.
Great chapter.
So just as a reminder, where we are going through the book called Killjoys, The 7 Deadly Sins, and we are on the last chapter, and the chapter is on lust. John Piper wrote this one. John Piper is one of my favorite pastors of all time. Love the man. I'll just read some quotes. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about my own experience as well, because I am familiar with this sin.
Most people are to varying degrees.
Lust is sexual desire that dishonors its object and disregards God, which is pretty straightforward. So sexual desire in itself is good. God made it in the beginning, which I think is something that people don't often think about in sex and stuff like that, sexual stuff, that it's wrong, but it's good. God made it. It has its proper place, but it was to be governed, regulated, and guided by two concerns: honor towards the other person and holiness towards God. Lust is what sexual desire becomes when that honor and that holiness are missing. Did you agree?
Yeah. I wasn't listening really in depth there. Sorry, you'd have to read that one more time for me.
Okay. Okay.
The last piece. What was that last sentence?
So it was made to be governed and regulated and guided by two concerns: honor towards the other person and holiness towards God. And so lust is what sexual desire becomes when that honor and that holiness are missing. So it's when it's in the wrong place, just being used for the wrong thing. And there's some, lust goes through everything, but I think there's one piece in this chapter that really stuck out to me on the damage of it. And that piece says, this means that the consequences of lust are going to be as bad or worse than the consequences of war. All war can do is kill your body. And Jesus said, do not fear those who kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will warn you to whom to fear. Fear him that after he has killed, has power to cast you into hell. And it just...
Yeah, so on that line, the part that I had underlined was on top page 90, where he says, if you don't fight lust, you will not go to heaven.
Yeah.
Pretty blunt. And then the verses there, I just looked up Galatians 5:21.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the top of the title on Galatians is 5:21 is living by the Spirit's power in the version that I'm reading anyways. But
there's more than one version?
Yeah. It says, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as if I as I have before, that anyone living the sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of God. Which,
Okay, so I'm gonna read there's a chapter and there's a piece in this book where it's a little story from Piper, and I'll read the story. I think it's a good story and it'll be easy to follow along. So here goes. Some years ago, I spoke to a student body of a Christian high school on the topic, 10 lessons for fighting lust. Lesson number 6 was, ponder the eternal danger of lust. My text was Matthew 5:28-29, when Jesus says, everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intentions has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right hand causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. I pointed out that Jesus said heaven and hell are at stake in what you do with your eyes and with your imagination. After the message, one of the students came to me and asked, are you saying then that a person can lose his salvation? That is exactly the same response I got a few years earlier when I confronted a man about the adultery in which he was living. I patiently tried to understand his situation, and I pled with him to return to his wife. Then I said, you don't you know, don't you, that if Jesus says if you don't fight this sin with this kind of seriousness that is willing to gouge out your own eye, then you will go to hell and suffer there forever. He looked at me in utter disbelief, as though he had never heard anything like this in his life. He said, you mean you think a person can lose his salvation? I have learned again and again from the first-hand experience that there are many professing Christians who have a view of salvation that disconnects it from real life. They nullify the warnings of the Bible and put the person who claims to be a Christian but wages no war against his sin beyond the reach of biblical threats. Such doctrine is comforting thousands on their way to hell. Jesus said, if you don't fight lust, you won't go to heaven. The stakes are much higher than global terrorism. If you don't fight lust, you will not go to heaven. And then it's those verses that you just read.
That is wild.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the line. I think that the reason it hits me so hard is because I feel like a lot of people feel, let's just say, semi-convicted, right? And obviously a lot of people are just justifying and minimizing and rationalizing and doing all the things they do. Like, hey, it's not that bad. It could be worse. I could watch worse stuff. Or, hey, it's just a movie, or it's just, whatever the arguments are that people play. And then there's other people that know that they're watching an abomination all the time and are just caught in a horrible pit of secret sin and despair and hate themselves, which is where I was at one point. So I feel like it just keeps you so sick when it's a secret, right? So really the thing that I got out of this chapter is that if you're in that spot where you really struggle with this, you better be talking to somebody about it. Me, anybody. Like, just call them up and say, hey, I got to talk to you about something. Anybody, and it's just like, because that's 90% of it is just the fact that it's a secret.
Yeah.
That's also fascinating.
I actually wrote it as I was reading this chapter on the bottom of one of the pages I wrote, because I was thinking about my own journey through this stuff. Sin can't grow in the light. Expose it. Like, get it out in the light, even if it's can it cause more destruction? So I remember how I told Nicole that I cheated on her. So I was getting coached by Kim. It was in the first couple of weeks and stuff like that. And she said, does Nicole know everything about you? And I said, yeah, sort of, stuff like that. And I just kind of like vague, whatever, stuff like that. So she
half-truths.
Half-truths. So she's seen a little crack in the door. That's something she teaches in coaching. When someone gives you a crack in the door, open it. And so I'm like, yeah, something she didn't know. And so I actually ended up telling her, and she said, do you want a good marriage? I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you think not telling her is going to allow you to have a good marriage? And I said, no. So I told Nicole, which
some people would disagree with that. Some people would say that, I'm going to hurt my spouse if I tell them everything.
Oh yeah, that's for sure what's going to happen. But you already hurt them. You should have thought that earlier. Okay, that's done.
Yeah.
If you want to,
and if you're not fully known, then whoever is loving you or thinks they love you is loving not even the real you. So now it's a completely fraudulent relationship.
Yeah, and that was my thing all the time. Like, Nicole doesn't love me. She doesn't know who I am.
Yeah. If she did, she wouldn't love me.
Yeah, but it made the situation worse telling her, right? Like, it made our marriage worse. Initially though. Yeah. And so it's like, even getting out in the light, it's like a terrifying thing, and it's going to like blow things up and stuff like that. But that there is only one road to getting better. And it's like, it's being real. Like, you can't have bullshit in your life. And so if you're in that spot, even if it's not the perfect way, not letting it out go in the light because you don't know the exact person to tell, or it's going to cause some problems, stuff like that, is still worse than telling someone that's going to cause more problems. Yeah. So talk to someone about it. Yeah. Like, get it out in the light. Post it on Facebook every day if you need to.
All clear or not clear. The other thing I thought was, he ends with very practical stuff, right? The strategy. And I mean, I circled avoid, right? And I put in my comments are, most people don't even take this seriously, right? And I mean, I look at lust or any sin really, but especially stuff with your eyes, because, you know, as we're visual creatures, men and women too. I think that like, it's very different than, I mean, it probably was 50 years ago too, but it's definitely in our culture. Women struggle a lot with lust too. That's been the feedback that I get. So don't feel like you're different just because you do. And I think that people just don't take it serious. They don't avoid. They watch stuff they shouldn't be watching. Like people say, oh, what Netflix shows do you watch? Well, none. Why? Because most of it, like, and there again, there's good stuff. I'm making a blanket statement. I'm just saying for me, I need to have my conscience be tender with this type of thing, because very quickly,
yes,
you know, and I think that most people, when Ken Dick in Freedom Sessions always says, you know, you say you're struggling, you know, you're struggling with this sin, whether it be lust or any other sin. If you say you're struggling, where's the battle scars, right?
Yes.
And so he talks about that here too. You know, John Owen, he quotes John Owen, who said, and I think it feels like it's been in this book before, but it says, be killing sin or it will be killing you. Yeah. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4 verse 7, right? And that resist piece, I mean, most people just don't resist. They just capitulate, and they don't even have any type of plan to deal with, you know, a struggle of lust or sin or anything.
It's like, how important is it to you to get rid of it? Ultimately what it comes down to, like I was thinking this week about my calendar, I schedule all those things that are really important to me. Some like my coaching calls and meetings or whatever, all the things that are like really important to me. Because like, if they're important to you, you have to schedule them to make sure they happen. And I was thinking, why don't I schedule more time, like one-on-one time with Malachi, like a half hour a day, and one time with Peter or whatever, to be super intentional. Because if you're not intentional, like put your phone away and stuff like that, it won't happen. Just like important stuff. And that's the same thing with this fight. Like if you don't take it seriously, you're not going to win. Like it's a brutal addiction. I mean, I think I had a guy on, Dean Orwell, on last week. They'll get published on January 4th. So this coming Saturday, if you're listening. And he was a cocaine addict and traveled the world as a singer. And he came to Jesus. And so he helps guys with addictions now. I totally lost my train of thought. But he,
something to do with fighting lust. Just watch the podcast.
So he told me there was a Pew Research poll that said 91% of men look at porn once a month. 91%. It's an inordinately high number, and we don't talk about it.
You sure can't tell in the church. I do not know why it's not talked about more, but I just think, man, people are living, if I look at how fraudulent I felt sitting there, I just think we're not doing a favor not talking about it. And of course it's shameful. It's meant to be shameful. Things that are wrong are meant to be shameful. Yeah. I went to like a warming center in Chilliwack where, you know, these people that I know are hanging out, keep serving drugs, and now they've made it so you can't go see them when they're using. It used to be you could just walk in. No, they deserve their privacy. You know, we don't want to stigmatize this. I'm like, things that aren't great for you,
you hide.
Well, they should be stigmatized to me. That's just natural, right? It's like, that's how my kids view smoking cigarettes, right? The other day, Noah was like, yeah, Dad, you used to do drugs, didn't you? I saw a picture of you smoking a cigarette. Yeah. And then the last one, or one of the other ones that I thought was interesting, was the last one he had. It's an acronym. Move into a useful activity, away from idleness and other vulnerable behaviors. Lust grows fast in the garden of leisure. Find good work to do and do it with all your might. And then there's a quote here from Romans 12, verse 11. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, and serve the Lord. And I mean, I know I can only speak for myself, but Marie and I often joke about it, and it's not always healthy. There should be idle time in my life. There should be time that I could just hang out with my family. So, but like, I don't feel like I have the margin to be screwing around. Yeah. Like I just don't, like I literally don't. Right. And so, you know, when I'm on the computer, I have something I need to be doing. I don't have 3 hours to sit there and, you know, I think there is benefits of being, and I don't want to say busy because that's, I read a quote this week that said the new palace that you can see Bathsheba from is Instagram or something else like that. You know, like King David walking on the top of the palace and he seen Bathsheba and then he ended up sleeping with her. But now everybody just goes to Instagram and thinks, I'm going to go check out my friend's list. To do it.
Well, I mean, it's true. Like
nuke your friends' follows list, man. Just nuke it. Just go through it and anything. Like,
but you also don't need a social.
You don't even need to have Instagram. Yeah, that's actually
more than 50 minutes a day anyway. That's my number.
Yeah, but are you safe for 15 minutes? Is that just the right amount of time to do what you got to do?
Yeah, I mean, I just needed to post to post my stuff. But
send me reels.
So at the end of the chapter, there's a little acronym that Gary just referred to called ANTHEM, and it's avoid, know, turn, hold, what are the last two here?
Enjoy and move.
So I want to read hold and enjoy because I think they're just banging. Hold the promise and the pleasures of Christ firmly in your mind until it pushes the other images out. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Here's where many fail. They give in too quickly. They say, I try to push it out and it didn't work. I ask, how long did you try? A minute? 5, 10? How long did you make war on that one temptation? How hard did you exert your mind? The mind is a muscle. You can flex it with vehemence. How do you say that word? I don't know. Take the kingdom violently. Be brutal. Hold the promise of Christ before your eyes. Hold it. Hold it. Don't let go. Keep holding it. How long? As long as it takes. Fight for Christ's sake until you win. If an electric garage door were about to crush your child, you would hold it until all your might and holler for help, and hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it until it cut your fingers off. I think that's true. We just like give in too quickly. We're just so soft. I'm like, oh, it's too hard, whatever. I can't do it. No, it's bullshit. You just don't want it. Second thing was enjoy. Read one more quote here. Super awesome. And recommend anybody to get this book and just go over this chapter. Enjoy a superior satisfaction. Cultivate capacities for pleasure in Christ. One reason lust reigns in so many is that Christ has so little appeal. We default to deceit because we have little delight in Christ. Don't say that kind of delighting just isn't for me. What steps have you taken to awaken affection for Jesus? Have you fought for joy? Don't be fatalistic. You are created to treasure Christ with all your heart, more than you treasure sex or sugarcoat or sports or shopping. If you have little taste for Jesus, competing pleasures will triumph. I love that line. If you have little taste for Jesus, competing pleasures will triumph. It's not just good enough to avoid a certain sin. You have to have it replaced with something better. Plead with God for the satisfaction you don't have. Then it quotes a verse, satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. That's a promise, by the way. Then look and look and look at the more magnificent person in the universe until you see him as supremely magnificent and satisfying as he really is. And I think that's the answer to fighting all sin. It's like Jesus has to be ultimately satisfying, because otherwise it's just going to be replaced with something else. It's so easy to trade your addiction for another addiction. So
I just looked through the notes. There's a lot of stuff that I have in the notes that we could talk about today. One of the things that I didn't put in there was 2 podcast recommendations that I wanted to make that I've listened to in the last day. One is Jonathan Marin, the Bridgehead.
Okay.
Has an interview with a guy, the grandson of somebody Haas. I should remember his name. I just bought the book today.
It was Auschwitz Survivor or something?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty cool story. Just a really great listen for you that are looking for good podcasts to listen to. I'm sure he has many other amazing interviews too. He's a very good interviewer. And then the other one is Apologetics Canada. Some people will know Andy Steiger. Him and a couple other guys have the AC podcast, it's called. And I listen to it periodically. Mike Schuten's been on there. People that I know have been on there, and they're good guys. And I don't even know who this guy is, but it's Billy Cosby. Yeah. Anyways, it's some guy from the U.S. who's a new ager / dumps on Christianity, and he went on this debate with one of the guys on the AC podcast, and it went viral. And the other guy's actually suing him because he just made him look so bad. So, anyways, that's recently. Oh, wow. It's in the last few weeks that podcast was aired, and then the whole podcast with that, the whole YouTube interview with Wes and Billy is on YouTube as well. It was taken down initially, and
the podcast is called the AC podcast.
The AC podcast. And it's Andy Steiger. If you Google Andy Steiger,
and he interviewed, and the guy he interviewed was
Billy Cosby. Look
that up.
Look that up. Yeah. Anyways, good lessons. Super interesting content.
That actually reminds me of something. So there's a quote from John Piper that says, "Christians care about suffering, especially eternal suffering." And I think it's really easy for Christians to get really caught up in like apologetics and fighting against like the whole attack on marriage or fighting against abortion and all the things like that. But you're actually still missing the point of that Christ has to be your ultimate satisfaction, and like fighting for those issues isn't like if you're saving someone's life for 70 years because you saved them from abortion, but they're still going to hell, like what's we care about people's souls more than we care about anything else. And I think I talked to a friend of mine, William, a couple of years ago, and he said something you see in really conservative churches and really liberal churches is that in really conservative churches, they'll hold on to like 10 really strict rules. Like everyone wears a certain
way or whatever,
clothing or whatever else like that, or do a certain thing, or a certain day of the week it's like perfect. And really liberal churches, they'll like do lots of like mission trips and soup kitchens and helping people all the time. And he goes, the common denominator is that they're not preaching Christ. And if you don't preach Christ, then you don't have anything to be made right with God. So you need something else to make you feel good about yourself and to get rid of the guilt. And so that can be...
Would the argument be for caring for people and loving them well, that's the greatest command? And so you would start there and that would show people Jesus? I mean...
Yeah, I think it's just easy to... I agree, yes. But okay. I think it's easy. I think it's possible that you're doing it as like... That's your
thing.
Yeah, and that's all you do. You don't actually teach people you need to be saved, right? You're just helping their daily needs and never talking about Christ himself. Often you can talk about Christ because you're helping with daily needs, but he said when Christ isn't preaching, you need something else to get rid of that guilt feeling, and so you start like getting really strict on a whole bunch of rules, or you start like just hyper focusing on
good works, just different good works.
Yeah, there's different good works.
Yeah, interesting.
And so I know people that don't know Jesus that aren't saved, but they're like working full time against abortion. And they're working full time against like sticking up for like marriage and stuff like that. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you hate Jesus. Like if you're not saved, if you're not a Christian, you hate God. You hate, and you're living for yourself.
One master.
And then you're trying to save babies. I'm like, what's the...
People still like doing good things even if they're not Christians,
and it becomes their Christ. And I think that's the issue, is that Christians care about suffering, but especially eternal suffering. Like this isn't just about the next 100 years, it's about the next 100 billion years. Like it matters.
I also believe that it comes back to our book reading, but I feel like a lot of people, when they have secret sin in their life, are completely neutered from actually leading other people because they feel like a complete fraud. So they can never say anything. They can never speak truth because deep down they know that they're a total fraud saying that, right? And there again, I mean, you want to be really careful talking that way because obviously everybody struggles with stuff. Yeah. We all do. But when you have these really glaring things that you know in your head that if people all knew about you, they would view you very differently, right?
That's why I shut off the podcast in 2019. I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah.
I was doing it.
It's sometimes why I want to shut it off in 2024. Thankfully, it's 2025 now. So,
well, I have no secret. So, it is 2025 now. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay. Listener question: can you talk more about what Freedom Session is?
That's an old question. Didn't we already answer that?
No, we didn't answer it. I'm sure it's an old question. It came up again, so it's been a while.
Somebody else asked it recently again
on a video on YouTube. Comment.
Oh man. Feedback I get is quit talking about Freedom Session. Nobody cares, Gary. Or it's from people that have done it and they just think I beat the drum too much, right? But it's funny because I went the other night to I'm on a real.
You're gonna answer it though?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
I went to a Canucks game the other night.
Can you do that as a Christian?
I can. I mean, I'm sure there's people that can't, and then they shouldn't go. I would say it's a conscience thing. So if you think it's idol worship to go to professional sports, it's definitely something. It's outrageously expensive, and there's definitely better use of your money. So however you want to split, but I mean, we could take that to the nth degree and start talking about how nice your vehicle is or your house is. Or, anyways, I know I'm really rabbit trailing, but I was sitting at a hockey game there. The bank took us, and it was just interesting talking to a pastor there. And I was talking exactly about this. I was talking about explaining Freedom Sessions. He had heard a lot of good things about it. A lot of people that I know have like sponsored people or just kind of been along for the ride. But I basically said exactly what I just said now. I said, like, I was talking about being in leadership and the struggle that people have, or what I feel is the struggle where either people feel like they're going to get shot down being a leader, right? They feel like they're unworthy, which I mean, I have that too. I have like the whole imposter syndrome at times, but I feel like that's why I was just pushing Freedom Session, where I'm like, it's basically this discipleship / healing journey, which almost everybody needs. Like most people, even great people that I know a lot from church, school, amazing people, you get to know people well, and all of a sudden you find out like there's uncle and aunts that they don't talk to, there's family members they don't talk to. I'm like, you shouldn't have people that you can't talk. Like there might be people that you just don't spend a lot of time with, that you're not going to be close to, that have broken your trust. That would be wisdom, that you don't keep putting yourself back in that spot. But if there's just people that you really have deep hurt towards or deep resentment, and granted, maybe it's not on you, maybe you feel like it's on the other person, but either way, you need to forgive them and not harbor bitterness, right? So that would be like that would be like the minimal barrier to entry to get into Freedom Session, where it's like, okay, I got people in my life that I see, and I don't want to talk to them. I don't, and most people, or a lot of people have people like that, right?
Yeah.
They just don't care for these people. So,
Yeah.
and then of course there's all the more damaging things, like people that are the 91% that are watching porn weekly and don't feel like they should be in the church, right? I mean, obviously non-Christians, whatever, you
Yes.
watch whatever you want, doesn't matter, right? You know, you have a different barometer, right? But I mean, if you're going to church every Sunday and you're feeling like, hey, this is, you know, and you
And
have
it's
this,
and like the fraud feeling that you live with when it's secret is just, it's crushing. Like it wrecks your soul. Like you become like a shell of a man.
well, that's where I was going with that in leadership. So the guy I was sitting beside was a pastor. He's a pastor in Chilliwack 15 years now. He's in another city. And I was just explaining that, how I felt like it's been, you see a church with 1,200 people and there's 10 people that feel called or feel fit, or I don't even know what the right term would be. Now there again, there's varying reasons, because people obviously, every church would be different. There'd be, but I just feel like in general in society, it's like men abdicate. Well, why do they abdicate?
Yeah.
Like, because they just feel like that's just my belief. There again, people would probably disagree
or
with
they
me,
don't.
but-
Like usually when someone doesn't advocate, takes that position and they're living in sins like that or different sins.
well, then they
it's-
do a lot of damage.
Yeah, so much damage, because often when you feel that guilt, you start condemning other people, right? And then you are really hard on other people and their sins and stuff like that. Like if someone's super hard on a sin, that you're
Watch out.
because there's something off with that. Like, Jesus came with so much gentleness to people living in sin, and he knew, and he spent time with them and stuff like that, and he didn't accept the sin. People say, like, have an issue with saying, hate the sin, love the sinner. It's like, no, whatever, you can't do that. Like, you got to just hammer down. I'm like, Jesus hammered down on the Pharisees. If you want to hammer down on someone, go after those guys.
Oh, the legalistic people.
Yeah.
In regards to Freedom Session, there's a website for Freedom Session, and you can log in, create a free account, and watch the first video. Or you can watch all the videos, but I would encourage you to watch the first video if you have any interest, and just see if it strikes a chord.
And if you're in Southern Alberta or Ontario and you want to start a group,
call me.
yes.
Yeah. And Southern Alberta I'm working on.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that hopefully next fall there will be something starting there. That's my dream. That'd be exciting.
That'd be awesome, yeah. Okay. You want to talk about economy
The
again?
end of the year.
Moon landing, did it happen? Why is that on there?
Do you believe the moon landing happened?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think it happened? How are you sure that it happened?
From the evidence that's out there?
Yeah.
From the right, yeah.
You haven't studied it much, though.
No.
I didn't think so. Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Oh, man. We had this at our Christmas dinner the other night. Talk about
So do you believe it happened?
I think it's debatable.
Okay.
That's debatable. I mean, I haven't studied that much. I guess my only question is, I have a question, I don't have the answer. You're like first talking about the moon landing, this podcast is over. I guess I'd be curious to know why they haven't went back to the moon since the 60s based on the,
okay, yeah.
like, I'm just genuinely curious, like for all the technological increases in the way the world works and the things we're doing now.
Yeah.
And then the other day I was hanging out with a family member and they Googled that just out of curiosity. Like, why haven't we? Well, you know what showed up? You know the reason that Google gave for not going back was because it's too expensive. So I thought that was pretty humorous.
Yeah,
for all the money that gets pissed
Elon
away.
Musk talk about it and stuff like that, because he has like a beef against NASA.
Well, he wants to go to Mars, right?
He wants to go to Mars, but they want to go to the moon first.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure someone probably correct me on that, but
yeah. I know once I'm talking about outer space, I'm in deep trouble. Like I barely survive on this planet, let alone talking about the moon.
But he said NASA basically, like, it was just got more and more bureaucratic as a and more red tape, and basically just like start shutting
They have
down.
people living in outer space all the time. There's guys up there right now that are in deep trouble, I heard.
Yeah, they're back, I think.
They got back?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Boeing screwed it up or something.
Boeing did?
Yeah. I think
Anyways, put a poll out on the podcast on Instagram. Who believes that the moon landing happened?
so. People are going to think I'm nuts asking that question, but
No, they're not. People
that's
really
fine. That's fine.
It's totally fine if they think you're nuts.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Many people think
Guilty
I'm
as
nuts.
charged.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got
What else did you really want to talk about? Feels like we've talked long enough.
we can talk about this next week. So I just wanted to say a happy new year to all the listeners, and to just, I guess, share my hope for the gospel for everyone that's listening. So just thinking about it this week, a lot of people listening, I was like, I want to just share something good for the new year and just an encouragement. And so we know that Jesus was a real man that claimed to be God, and many people have claimed to be God over the years, but Jesus proved it by ascending from the dead. There resurrection. That's the proof. No one else has done that. And that there was eyewitness testimony of that of around 500 people. And outside of the Bible, there's proof that he actually lived. And he wrote a book, he was God, and which is the book of life. It's a life book. It's not just a religious book. It's the actual Bible. And it will completely change your life. And so a year ago, my friend Trey, he said, get the 1 year Bible. And I did. And he goes, read it in a year. So it's about 15 minutes a day, where it gives you an Old Testament passage, a New Testament passage, one Psalm, one proverb. And reading the Bible will change your life. And so that's my, I guess my encouragement to anyone listening is spend some time every day reading the Bible and in prayer. And I was talking to him about an hour ago, and he said to me, he goes, everyone has 50 minutes a day for Jesus. If you don't, quit something you're doing. Skip a meal or something. The word is the bread of life. He was like, everyone has 50 minutes a day. If you don't have 50 minutes a day to read the Bible, then like there's something off. We all have that time. And then he quoted Psalm 119, verse 165, and he says, great peace have those who love your law. Nothing can make them stumble. And love your law can also be love your word. So read it and you will love it, and your life will be changed from it. So the man, God, that created the universe and created everything you see, wrote a book, the book of life. And if you follow it, you will have eternal life and believe in him. And so that's my encouragement to everyone listening. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. We're going to head into overtime. Anything you add to that, Gary?
Yeah, we'll do the economic predictions for 2025 next week.
Okay.
I feel like we haven't talked much about money today, so that's good.
Yeah.
Psalm 32. I'd encourage people also to read Psalm 32.
Okay. Because
Marie and I read it yesterday. It's kind of like her words were, this is like the chapter for Freedom Session of just like it's very similar to all the lines we talked about confessing your transgression, stuff like that. Pretty practical. Okay, let's go in overtime. Oh, how did people feel about getting the free overtime? You gave out free overtime last week for Christmas.
Yeah, it was live. It was live all day yesterday. I got no messages about it.
Okay.
And then the first 7 days were free all week, and I think 4 or 5 people signed up. So
signed up.
You have to sign up, and then it doesn't charge you for 7 days. That was the free part. It's free for 7 days. There's one guy that canceled after 7 days. He canceled.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I had somebody else message me just to let me know they listened to their one free episode of because I was making fun of her, I think last week or something. So
okay.
It's pretty funny. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.